Steve, do you know where I am on the agenda?
Scammon County
Welcome,
Redevelopment Agency,
everyone.
regular meeting, August 7, 2025, 9 o'clock a.m., Arnie Lee McGahey Building. Please turn your cell phone to vibrate silence or the off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding the item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 2 minutes. Is there proof of publication?
The CRA meeting was advertised on myescambia.com, August 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Are there any speakers for technical and public forum?
No speakers.
Technical and public service?
Recommendation concerning the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes, July 10th, 2025.
Chair, entertain a motion.
Move the item, Mr. Chairman.
Please vote. Passes unanimous. Thank you. Budget and Finance Consent Agenda.
Yes, we have 5 for your approval. The first one is recommendation concerning residential improvement grant program funding and lien agreements. Second one is recommendation concerning the cancellation of residential rehab grant program liens. Third is recommendation concerning residential roof program funding and lien agreements. The fourth one is recommendation concerning the residential improvement grant program and lien agreements for property located at 1231 Santa Fe Circle. And the fourth one was recommendation concerning the residential improvement program and funding lien agreement for property at 7828 Sabre Drive.
Thank you. Chair, entertain a motion.
Second.
Please vote. That passes unanimous. Thank you. Everett.
No discussions.
Everett, quick question. So how many housing replacements have we done through the CRA this fiscal year?
Housing replacements?
Do we do any
no,
housing?
That's through, that would be NED.
So,
neighborhood enterprise,
so housing replacement is not eligible,
not through CRA.
it's not eligible?
No.
So what all is eligible?
Roofs, we do our roof replacements, tree program, and paint program. And the residential rehabs where we do the matching lien,
So all we can just do rehab.
matching grant, I'm sorry.
Okay. How many rehabs have we done?
How many what?
Rehabs have we done?
I don't have the number in front of me, but I can get it to you.
So I guess my question is simply, are we exercising all of what the state statute allows for us to do?
Yes,
So everything that they allow to do, we're doing?
Yes. Yes, we are. We've actually had a trend of residential improvement here recently, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Everett, do we ever run out of money in any one of the CRAs on the residential? Have we done, last year, we didn't run out?
No.
Okay, so we have plenty, okay, that's all I
Yes.
was wondering. So that's good to know.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Well, I don't know if we have plenty of money. I mean, I don't know about that because I got people in my district that still want things done, like roofs and painting. I mean, that's untrue. To say
Well,
that
I'm
we
just
have enough
thinking maybe
money.
they don't know about the program.
Right, yeah, maybe they don't know the program, but to say that we have enough money, I mean, there's more need than resources.
Well, the main thing is the eligibility. That's where we run into a lot of the problems. And
Right.
we still try to help people to get the eligibility, especially when you're talking about the air properties. We have a lot of air properties that are.
But we do have a program where we're helping people
Yes,
clean up
and
those
we
titles, right?
We do recommend it to them to.
I mean, this morning I woke up with a lady on Hampton Road who's losing her property it's an air property, so, because they have title issues.
Right. So, yeah, as far as the legal issues, we do recommend the legal aid, but most of our problems that we run into is the air properties, not being able to get anybody to agree on, signing over property or agreeing on the property, so.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, what I would say, if you thought we had enough money, just ride down Gulf Beach Highway in your district, and then if you said you got enough resources, then, I mean, we should eliminate the program.
I'll
I got a
reword
whole-
that, no problem.
I mean, I can ride through Wedgewood. I mean, I got a whole lot of places in my district that need some help. If we have more money than we have resources, I mean, we need to be doing some budget amendments today.
Right.
Right, and that's one of my questions. Is there a specific part of the program that is underutilized that we should be looking to help people in our community with?
I wouldn't say underutilized, it's more or less of the eligibility. That's the problem. I mean, we've got the resources, it's just the eligibility, just,
Who sets the eligibility, the state or the county?
I'm sorry,
Who sets the eligibility?
we do.
We do.
Yeah.
So we have the ability
Yeah, we
to
have.
take a look at that.
It's there. Like I said, it's just the fact that we have people that are not eligible because of I say basically the air properties are our biggest concern.
Can we get like a quick reference guide on the eligibility? And
Yeah,
what-
I can
what somebody
email it
would
to you
need to
guys.
meet?
Yes, I can
Thank
do
you
that.
so much.
All right.
It's probably been a couple of years ago now, but remember this board went back and forth on the septic to sewer with primary residence versus rentals. We never did resolve that, did we?
No.
No. And so, Mike, that's what I would tell you. So if you go through Wedgewood in my district, if you go through Brownsville, you go through Inslee, we still have people that are on septic. Yeah, and so, I mean, we could spend every dime we got in the CRA in conversions right now, although that's an ECUA thing. But, I mean,
Right.
The truth is, if we say that we got a surplus of money, I mean, quickly we could convert and have people go to public sewer rather than septic tanks that's contaminating our water lines. So, I mean, we have a great need. I mean, I can just tell you, I rode down Gonzales yesterday in my district, which is CRA. It needs to be paved, it needs to be sidewalk, and it needs to be lit up. So, I mean, there is a great need. I mean, if you don't believe that, go to an Inglewood Neighborhood Association meeting, and Inglewood will tell you that, they got people still walking outside on a dirt road in a CRA. So, I mean, the need for CRA is great. And quite frankly, we should be bonding more money for the CRA and doing these capital projects in our CRA to make every neighborhood, look like every other neighborhood. I mean, the goal should be to eliminate CRAs, but to make sure the neighborhoods are all equal.
Sure. I'd love to go back if the board had an appetite for it to look at the septic to sewer, both for residential and rental, because the waterways affect all of us. And I know that I just sent you talking, that came back to my memory that we never resolved that. So I would be interested, Garrett, in the future, if we could have that discussion. I know it's not today, but in the near future.
We can bring it back. I could bring it back.
I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Garrett, I'd love to see ECUA put something put something in the pot. I mean, you know, quite frankly, I mean, we have some of the worst water in America. And a lot of it is because our water tables are contaminated. And so I mean, in a progressive place in my district such as Inslee, in one of the oldest neighborhoods such as Brownsville and Inglewood,
Right.
I mean, people still can't get sewer.
And that's one of the
And
things.
we've had CRAs forever.
Right,
so.
and that's one of the things that we had at our Brownsville meeting the other night is there's part of Brownsville that still doesn't have sewer. And I don't know if you guys remember, they had the meeting at Brownsville a couple of years ago about the expansion, but nothing ever happened.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, I think that if you bring some back, I mean, so, and I hear what the chairman is saying, we're saying we got plenty of money, but I got commercial corridors that can't develop because they don't have a sewer, then that's problematic. We don't have enough money. I mean, we just don't.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I mean, so, I mean, we need to move more money over there, so, Claire, I mean, bring something back.
Okay.
I mean, bring something back that, I mean, I think you see two of my colleagues who are being supportive. I mean, we should bring something back and make that a priority.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Just for awareness, I wasn't here for the original conversation. Is there a roundabout count on the number of houses? Because I'm with you, I don't care if it's a rental or a homeowner occupied. Is there a count on the number of houses that we need to convert?
I don't have a number, but I know, and Commissioner May and Commissioner Kohler both share Brownsville, and I know right along the Mobile Highway Cervantes corridor there's no sewer right there. So, and I think just south of Cervantes also, I don't think it's sewer either. So,
That'd be a great project.
Yeah, but the one
So
thing-
can you bring that back, and Commissioner Cole, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Commissioner Hoffberger, I will tell you this, Arlene's Barbecue, multiple businesses in Commissioner Kohler in my district closed down going from Brownsville to Mobile Highway because grease traps and sewer, and septic, they could not operate. So they moved out of that corridor, which is dying. I can just tell you, Mr. Bricker, and they bought the cottages there, and they can't get it on septic because it's not acceptable, and some of it's like 100 feet away. I mean, it's a great need, and I think that, you know, we matched it, Claire, with, what, $1 million with ECUA, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It's just, Kirk Street, all the way down through Mobile Highway going toward Lowe's, it's just not a lot, so. Yeah. But
Well-
go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
The only thing I was going to highlight with what you said as well as him, you know this, when we had ECUA come out to Brownsville, I was there that night. The sewer that they put in, going back to what Commissioner May said, we had such a poor response to the hookup. I mean, what we paid for that, and that's not what we want, obviously, we want
Right.
people to hook up. So I heard that loud and clear that they were worried about the sewer bill, but they didn't want to, I know there's a 1-year time frame with ECUA, but, we invested a lot of infrastructure there. We should try to get people on sewer.
Right, and we had a program, Everett, and I don't know if that still exists, and where eligible citizens could apply for some assistance with connecting, well,
yeah, and people have used it, but the thing is that where we don't have anybody, the sewer lines there for them to connect. That's the problem. Because we've had several people complain, about not having sewer at the meetings. It's just they're on septic. And
well, I'd love for it, the next CRA, if maybe ECUA was here with a hot map, as Commissioner Hallberger just asked, to know exactly where it is. And the connectivity fees. Because if I make $12 an hour, I can't connect.
Right.
Because it costs $5,600 for a plumber to be able to connect.
Right.
And secondly, we're not going to have people doing infill lots if it's too expensive to connect. So,
Right.
that's, if we're going to redevelop neighborhoods, as CRAs should be doing,
Right.
we need to make it easier with the infrastructure. To me, that's one of the most important things we can do through a CRA is provide the infrastructure where small businesses or home builders or homeowners can come in and build their lot affordable.
Right.
I don't know if it's CRA, but a future cow may be good. Either way, something should be good because, just like Brownsville, I got the same problem where carve-outs on Brancas, on Navy Boulevard, on the south side of Beach Haven, which I know on the north side, we're doing septic to sewer right now, but there's massive amounts of communities going up that road that are still on septic right next to the water.
Right.
And it's hard to believe that we haven't moved forward with that, but I appreciate everything you said, Everett.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know the time's far spent, but Everett, I would like to see that because I will just tell you right now, there's still flooding in Brownsville.
Right.
As I've seen this past week. And so, I mean, if we need to be getting with Joy and engineering and figuring out what we can do, because if we feel that we're good with financing in our CRA, we shouldn't have issues in our CRA.
Right.
And at this point, if we need to bond it or whatever we need to do to financially make it work, we just need to be doing that. So I would love for your department to get with engineering and come back with some type of proposal that we can have a discussion at our next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks, Commissioner. I appreciate y'all. With that being said, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just move right in the committee of the whole workshop, if that's fine with everyone. So, well, I'm going to call the committee of the whole workshop to order. Steve, would you do the pledge since you're doing the cow today?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, has the cow properly been advertised?
Mr. Chairman, the meeting was advertised in the Pensacola News Journal on July 31st, 2025, in the board's weekly meeting schedule.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, today is Commissioner Stroberger's cow, and we're going to talk about land trust. Commissioner Stroberger, so I'll let you lead from here.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here, Sam. So I've spoken with Sam Young countless times about CLT and habitat, and I don't want to assume everybody else has got the same information or knowledge on the subject, so I thought this would be a good one to talk about. And to be upfront, I'm very supportive of this. And do we want to start out with your presentation, Sam?
I'd be honored to be.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Commissioners, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to stand in front of you today and talk about something that I'm extremely passionate about and believe to my core that this is going to be an instrumental tool in helping solve the affordable housing crisis that too many of our citizens, your constituents, are facing every day. I will tell you that I had the pleasure this morning of a home dedication. Commissioner Hoffberger joined us. I believe Commissioner May came in the tail end of that, and I forgive him for being a little late because we have spent all week doing home dedications. We did 12 of them this week on the county Habitat Partnership homes. So I appreciate his commitment to solving those situations in his district. But the land trust is a wider, broader solution to a deepening problem. Commissioner Stroberger came over to our offices a couple days ago. He wanted to make sure that he completely understood this land trust model. And I appreciate him taking that time and allowing me to dive a little deeper into this. And when we were done, he asked if I would come and speak to the commission in the whole with that same brief. So if you'll entertain me for several minutes, I'm going to take you through that brief. I assume that you can see it on your computer screens. Good. I didn't want everybody to have to turn around. So I'm going to walk you through this. Just briefly, when I arrived here 5 years ago, Pensacola Habitat, while making serious impact in the affordable housing, our scale was somewhat limited. We were reaching a narrow band of those folks in need, serving that 60 to 80% AMI. In the last 5 years, our team has grown not only the scale of our organization, but the breadth of our organization. And we are now serving a much wider piece of the population. We have our traditional program that's on top there, serving 60 to 80. We have a workforce housing open market rate housing development program, we were serving 80 to 120%, building very affordable homes and providing them to those folks who are making a little too much to qualify for our program, but making too little to purchase a home on the open market. So we're serving that population as well. Our community land trust, which I'm going to go into some depth here shortly, we also are introducing right now a rental program. We are constantly hearing, and I know that you're hearing from your constituents, that there's a serious shortage of affordable rentals. Well, we are putting into the market single-family homes that are going to be affordable to those individuals and those families. The rent is going to range around $1,200 to $1,300 a month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home. And then we also have our HUD counseling program. So we are becoming a full-stop, full-service solution for housing for Escambia County. So this chart presents the crux of the problem, and I think it's critically important that everybody understands how we got to where we are today with this gap in affordability. On the bottom, you'll see wages in Escambia County over the last 25 years, and those wages have doubled. Doubled. That sounds pretty good until you look at the top line, and that's housing cost. The average home in Escambia County has quadrupled in that same period of time. So the gap between those two lines, which is ever increasing, is the crux of the problem that we're facing today. And frankly, there's not a whole lot in place right now that is going to change those trend lines. So what is a community land trust? Simply, it is a vehicle that separates the ownership of the land from the house itself. And most importantly, it simultaneously reduces the cost of the home ownership and creates, for the first time, a permanent stock of affordable housing. I was with Amir from Parsco Developers yesterday, and we were talking, because right now we have a partnership with the city and the Home Builders Association. We have 3 homes that are being built on land trust property inside the city limits. And we were talking about a project that he did with the city several years ago down in the Garden District, where a number of homes were built for low income, meant to be affordable forever. However, those homes that someone were able to buy for less than $200,000, I believe they were $180,000 purchases, they are now flipping just 5-6 years later for well over $400,000. So homes that were built to be affordable, to be long-term affordable, only are affordable to that first-time home buyer. Then the market takes over and we lose that home to the market. The CLT holds title to the land, sells the home on the land, and administers the 99-year ground lease. What it really is, and I'm going to show you this in better detail, but it's an alternative to renting. This is not an alternative to someone who has the capacity and the resources to buy a fee simple home where they own the home and the land, and they enjoy all the appreciation, all the wealth creation involved in that model. These are for folks who can't make that jump from rental to affordable home ownership. So the land trust fills the gap, and it gives folks the opportunity and all the advantages of home ownership that they would otherwise never be able to enjoy. The stability, the health and education benefits, and then passing on the wealth creation of home ownership to the next generation. At the time of the resale formula is applied, which allows for an appreciation share between the seller, the land trust, and the land trust really meaning the next home buyer. And I'll show you how that works momentarily. So this is the equity ladder. Housing is a continuum, and we understand that. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a fairly significant homeless situation here in Escambia County. and across the state, across the country. That's where the continuum starts. And where does it end? It ends when somebody has paid off a fee simple home and they're enjoying all the advantages and all the wealth creation opportunities that home ownership provides. But there are many steps in the middle. And renting is that first step. And unfortunately, renting is becoming a trap in which folks cannot gain any savings because all of their money is going out in rent payments. None of that comes back. They often don't even get back their security deposit, but they certainly don't get any portion of their rent back when they leave. And those rents continue to escalate. And unfortunately, many of those rentals are substandard. So before the land trust, the next step on that equity ladder was purchasing a fee simple home. But I want you to envision a stream that you're trying to cross, but that stream is just a little too wide, and you can't make that leap from one bank to the other. Well, the land trust is a big boulder in the middle of that stream that you can hop onto as you cross the stream. And you can stay on that boulder for as long as you want, but what it does is provides you an opportunity to, in fact, cross the stream and enter a fee simple home scenario. Without that boulder in the middle of the stream, you're stuck on the other side. You're stuck renting over and over and again. That's the beauty of the land trust. So how does the resale formula work? And this is probably the most misunderstood and, frankly, maybe the most confusing component of land trusts. Upon sale, the homeowner will benefit from a portion of the appreciation of the value of that home. But importantly, they also are able to extract all of their mortgage principal payments. So when they go to sell that home, be it 5 years, 50 years, or 100 years, the principal they paid on the mortgage is extracted and retained, and a portion of the appreciation, and sometimes the significant appreciation of that home, is also extracted by the seller. The remaining portion of that appreciation remains in the home. So I'm going to walk you through this formula because I think this provides great clarity on the power of the land trust. So let's take a home that we have built, we closed on today. That home appraises at $220,000. Many of these homes are appraising significantly greater than $220,000. However, we're going to sell that house for $180,000. Why? Because of that $220,000, $40,000 of that value is attributed to the underlying land. So we're going to immediately subtract the land value, and the sale price is $180,000. We're going to reduce that even further because of our partnership with the county and other municipalities. We're able to apply SHIP down payment assistance to this home. So that reduces the number by another $25,000, and now we're at $155,000. That's what the individual is going to pay for this home. How many homes are out there that someone can buy, brand new, 3-bedroom, built at the qualities that Habitat builds for $155,000? It's impossible. It doesn't happen. It does with the land trust. Now, $155,000 divided by $220,000 is a 71% ratio. That is their ownership interest in this property, 70, just for the formula purposes. And you're going to see where that comes into play. So they're in the home, they're living happily, they've had some career progression, they've had some wage progression, and now they're in a position with the savings that they have as a result of their land trust home and their increased income, that they want to move into a different neighborhood, maybe into a bigger home, into a fee simple home. They want to sell. So we do an appraisal. That appraisal indicates that the home is now valued at $400,000. So let's find the difference between that appraisal and the initial appraisal. It's $180,000 of appreciation in that period of time. Well, the portion of appreciation to be shared, remember they have a 71% interest. We take that $180,000, multiply it by 71%, there's $127,000 of appreciation to be shared. They have a 25% shared equity. That's how much they have earned in the period of time. That the amount that they earn increases over time. So we're going to take $127,000, multiply it by 25%, $31,000 is, or $32,000 is how much appreciation they get to extract out of this purchase. Now, that is in addition to whatever principal payments they have made over that same period of time. Now, here's the beauty of the land trust. A home that is now valued at $400,000 is no longer affordable to the young teachers, to the healthcare workers, to the service workers that this program was intended to serve. We've lost that home for those individuals, except this home is going to sell for $186,000. How do we get that? We take the resale, the $155,000, the initial purchase price, and add the equity that was extracted by the home buyer, the $32,000, $186,000 is the new purchase price. This is in 10 years for a home that is valued at $400,000. That's the power of the land trust. And that's why this program must be implemented across the county as just one tool in the toolbox to address the affordable housing crisis. So where is the land trust? Well, like I said, we had our first dedication this morning. There are homes that are being built right now in the pipeline. We have home buyers in the pipeline going through our program who are waiting for a land trust home. Eligible buyers, they complete the mandatory sweat equity. We have an extensive homeowner education program that they run through, and we provide them certified housing counseling, as we are one of only 2 certified HUD counseling agencies between Mobile and Tallahassee. Buyers will secure a third-party mortgage. We already have, I think, 3 or 4 lenders lined up who have come on board on this program, so third-party mortgages are available for the land trust purchasers. And Habitat is the steward of the Pensacola or the Northwest Florida Community Land Trust. And I believe that concludes my brief, and I am available for any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Trevor?
Want me to continue?
Yeah, you had a question?
All right, yeah. So I love metrics, I love numbers, and I think you spelled it out pretty clearly there. I mean, even the SHIP dollars, we get a return on that. It just keeps, it's like a breeder reactor to me. We just keep getting more and more. But what we have is we do have a finite amount of property. That's probably the long pole. I don't know if that would be the right term for that. But I think that this whole idea is, as simple as it is, it's also genius. I just love the idea. I wonder if septic and sewer is an issue for you, what that adds to the price. Is that a problem?
You know, we build all over the city, the county, Santa Rosa County, and we will build a home in either situation. Obviously, septic is more expensive, but it will not stop us from building on a buildable lot. We will do septic.
And we were talking about the eligibility for CRAs, and I wonder if eligibility is a problem for you, for possible applicants. You didn't show the slide about the eligibility, but I remember thinking to myself when we were talking yesterday that the $1,000, I read it wrong. I thought it was debt, but it's bad debt.
Right.
Is that a big problem for people that you get applications from?
I mean, we have folks that are applying every day, and we have, you know, unfortunately, have to turn down a number because of our qualifications. There's a credit score minimum requirement. There's an income minimum requirement. There can't be bad debt. There has to be a track record of employment. We want to make sure that these folks are successful. If they don't meet that criteria, then we counsel them and we make them part of our family and get them to a point where they will qualify. What's unique about this program is in Santa Rosa County, for instance, because they have committed some fairly significant support to it through Sadowski funds, SHIP dollars, we can qualify somebody making as little as $35,000 for a land trust brand new home. In Escambia County, the minimum is $40,000 plus. So there is no other program out there where somebody making $35,000 or $40,000 can purchase a new home.
So sounds like there's no shortage of applicants.
No
You got
shortage of applicants.
Yeah.
It's just a function of resources. You know, the more resources we can garner and attract into this program, the more people we're going to be able to serve.
Okay. Anyone else?
Oh, and Commissioner Hoffberger.
I just had a question. How can the county best support you? Like, what can we do to help support the community land trust? Because I know affordable housing, workforce housing is a big deal, and I think that's something that we can all get behind. What would be the best way to help move that forward?
Well, I think in two ways, primarily. One is you are about to approve, if you haven't already, or will shortly approve, the LHAP, which is the Low Income Housing Assistance Plan. Up until this point, there was no language in the LHAP, which becomes your guiding policy for SHIP distribution, to support land trusts. That language needs to be in the LHAP that you're about to approve. If it's not, then that would be extremely detrimental to this initiative. So I know that Commissioner Kohler looked very carefully at that, and I believe that language has been inserted. I have not yet seen the new LHAP.
Sam, can I ask, Garrett, it's in there, right? Yeah, I just want to make sure, because we looked at this a while ago, so I think we're good on that, Sam.
Okay, so that's great. So now that it's in there, you have the ability to allocate SHIP dollars to the land trust, and I would ask that you do that. You know, figure out what percentage of the available SHIP dollars is appropriate for the land trust. The more, the better we're going to do. And then the other is surplus land. I know I've worked with individual commissioners on this, and appropriate parcels available for building, if you can push those to Habitat. Now, I know, for instance, Commissioner May, I know while he's a big supporter of Habitat, I believe that he would rather see his surplus land be used for our traditional program. That's fine. You know, those conditions can be met. Commissioner Hoffberger put a couple lots in, and I reached out to you and I said, you know, do you want these in the land trust? Do you want these in the traditional program? And you said, Sam, you make that decision. And I appreciate that. So land, whether it's for the land trust or our traditional program, is critically important. So whatever opportunity we have to have those surplus lots pushed into into Pensacola Habitat would be fantastically helpful.
Commissioner Strohberger?
I was just going to say, it's important to have them in both, right?
Yes,
Traditional.
absolutely.
So-
Yeah, and just, I want you to understand that this land trust is not displacing our traditional home buyer program. When somebody comes to us, we literally perform triage on these individuals. And we take a hard look at what they qualify for, what gaps they might have. And we now have the ability to say, look, you're not ready for home ownership, but let's take a look at our rental program. You are ready for home ownership, but you don't qualify for the traditional program, so let's take a hard look at the land trust. Or we triage them and we go, look, you make a little too much for our program, but we have these open market rate homes available for sale, which we can help subsidize. So we're across the gambit with who we can help and how we can help them.
Sam, can I ask a follow-up question? I have a few questions, but is there an algorithm or ratio that you guys have for traditional versus CLT? How it's just based on who applies and what you have in
It's
the
going to be based on need.
inventory?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We acquire land, we put it in the land bank, and then we can move it around inside our land bank for wherever the demand signal is.
Okay, I got a couple questions, and obviously, one of the things you had on there is the median income on your slide was around 70,000. I know Commissioner Mann and I have multiple communities, just Myrtle Grove alone, we're doing a Sierra, the median household income's like 44,000. So I may ask JS to see, I know where you do most of your building at, it's not over off Gulf Beach Highway, or northern Gulf Beach Highway or Perdido or, the beach. I know where you're doing most of it. But I think that's important to me to see the heat map of where you're developing your houses, and I know you'll do that for me. I want to go back. There was something you missed on the resale value, and I think I know the answer, but I want to validate it. 71 plus 25 doesn't even equal 100, it equals 96%. So where's the other 4% go?
There may be a math problem there, and if I could figure out how to.
I'm to assume it goes back to Habitat or administrative costs.
Habitat, so this is important. Habitat does not extract any dollars from the appreciation. When that home appreciates, two things happen. A piece of that goes to the home buyer, and they walk away with that appreciation. The remaining appreciation stays in the home. Just like the down payment assistance, SHIP dollars are not extracted, they remain with the home, and that is the key to maintaining the affordability.
Okay, well, maybe there's something wrong there.
Might be a
so
math problem.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And I wasn't trying to punk you, I just thought maybe
No,
it was
that's
an
fine.
oversight administrative thing.
I'm going to go back and beat my staff. That's
Okay,
fine.
okay, that's fine. And then I want to just highlight this because I've given you several properties, and I know a few months ago, three of us were at you and Commissioner Strober and I were at Just Pensacola. We are literally working with Neighborhood Services right now with Clara. At least I've put up a few properties, I don't know where the rest of the commission is, to support that initiative. So the board is doing their job to try to help this. I know it's only going to make a small dent, but it's making a dent.
Absolutely.
And then when I first came on board, I think it's important, I think for the commission to know, I don't know if our relationship with you was as best as it could be, but I feel like the board, Neighborhood Services, has worked very well with Habitat in the last year, 2 years to make things better. And I just would like to highlight that. And I think you would agree with that?
Unquestionably. I think a lot of it, that relationship has been developed and nurtured as a result of the 14 homes that we just did with the county. My staff and Clara and her staff worked very closely along those lines. And I will tell you that kind of the refreshment of the board and the commitment that I've seen with new commissioners has been fantastic. And I appreciate, that support. I appreciate that, that willingness to listen and learn about what is maybe the biggest crisis facing the community right now. So, yeah, I am extremely optimistic with what the future holds with regard to the relationship between our organization and the Board of County Commissioners.
And just for the record, I'm not committing to buying a dog this year at your gala, just on the record. Last year, a few of us bought a dog for a fundraiser, so. Commissioner Stroberger, I don't have anything else. You have something?
I was just going to say that I do believe you when you say this is the answer to affordable housing, permanent affordable housing in Escambia County. And yesterday when we were talking, I said I envision Habitat as being Escambia County's housing office, because you do bring everybody in there and you do triage, their finances and figure out what's best for them, whether it's a rental, a CLT, or a fee simple home. And we talked about also solving that next increase, the next house they want to get, after fee simple or after the CLT. I told you this, and I know Mike's heard the story. My first home, mine and my wife's first home was a rental, and it was $150 a month in mud flats in Millington, Tennessee. That was our affordable home, and that was a stretch for us, as a young E2 in the Marine Corps. We didn't get to own our first home until 9 years later, and I just love the idea that you can do this and make affordable housing happen to people right now instead of having them have to wait that long. Thank you.
Commissioner Major, do you want to make a comment, or you?
Oh, no, thank you. And Sam, what a great week through the rain in the partnership. And I think that there are things through ARPA dollars that there's probably going to be left over $900,000, $1 million that we're going to be able to, bring something that's going to continue to have the housing programs. And I appreciate it. And some of the things, Sam and I have kind of grown to come to where we are. And so affordable housing is not something new to me. In 2006, my dad and I were Affordable Builders of the Year for the city of Pensacola in infill housing. So I grew up with it. And so land trust is nothing new. No need to say it. And I can just tell you, a land trust started with Oliver Darton and John White, in which they acquired Mason DeVille on 9th Avenue. They acquired L.A. Kersey, and Sam probably knows the story of those guys. It had nothing to do with Sam. They got a piece of property, L.A. Kersey, a traditional African-American school in an African-American neighborhood with all African-American children for $48,000. In turn, it gets flipped for $686,000. And in turn, it gets flipped for almost $800,000. And in turn, the houses are $500,000 now on that land, and not one African-American kid can live there. And so and so when we do the history, it's why I'm conscientious of what goes in my district. That's just one model. I can go to Blunt Middle School. SHIP dollars came there, had nothing to do with a land trust. SHIP dollars were funded on Blunt Middle School, a traditional African-American school on Gregory Street. No house there is less than $400,000. No African-American kid can afford to live there. Yeah. If I really want to go there, let's go down to Hallmark. We'll go to Hallmark, a traditional African-American school, took the land, got city, county subsidies, moved the people out, and the people can't live there. And so that's why I'm conscientious about it, what happens. And Sam has made a great effort in helping me to facilitate that. And so I think I recognize the importance of a land trust, and Sam knows that I support that. But I also understand that generational wealth and generational poverty is systemic, and that most people who are poor can only leave a home. They don't leave a business. They don't leave a 401k. I mean, the thing that they leave is the appreciation. And so, quite frankly, I'm probably more well off today because my father left me property, and so I'm not going to make an apology for what my father left me. And so I think that some people, and Sam and I, there's a rental market, there's a land trust market, but there's also a home ownership. I can just tell you, this week we did 12 homes, Sam, 13 homes, and I can tell you 2 of the people are over 70 years old, and they cried and hugged my neck. And you know what they said? I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my grandchildren. Sure. Not even my children. And so there's nothing wrong. I don't care if we give them $1 million worth of government subsidies, and if 2 generations later she can sell that house and it's appreciated for $400,000 or $500,000, God bless her. And God bless her if she has to sell that house for triple the rate to send her daughter to medical school or law school. It doesn't matter to me. But I also recognize that everyone is not a homeowner. Everyone is not going to be able, as Sam said, to keep up the lawn, pay the taxes, get those. So I think that, Steve, I appreciate, Commissioner Stroberg, I appreciate you bringing it, and I'm very supportive. I think that there's just a mix. Unfortunately, long before Sam came, there was a high. We had ARPA dollars. We put ARPA, the Hurricane Assistance Dollar, HAP dollars. We put $48 million on Habitat houses long before Sam got here, and all those houses were built in District 3. And so that was back before Sam got here when the value would depreciate instead of appreciated. And so it's very important as we do these infill lots that we do it everywhere. Okay. I mean, and so if anyone questions our commitment, we gave the city 14 lots to put into the land trust. Right, Claire, how many did we give them? 14 lots to put just into the land trust. At the same time, we're doing this home ownership program. And so I think they all work together. And I think that that's very important that we do it now. A lot of times people like to concentrate poor people in poor neighborhoods. If we really want to do it, and I think Sam and I share that vision, let's put them everywhere. I said that about tiny houses, Habitat houses, low income. Let's put a few in Perdido, let's put a few on the beach, let's put a few in District 3, and then that's exactly how all of us get along. And so I'm very supportive of that. I think I'm supportive of the land trust, and however we can get people home ownership. And then at the end of the day, we can talk about housing all day, Mr. Chairman. Here's the reality. The cost of a 2x4, Sam is paying the price of a brick, siding. We have to look at how we increase people's wages. It's tough. We had one young lady who yesterday got a house. He knows her, Danielle. She was homeless, lived in Marina Court. Now she has home ownership. She had to make a decision to not pay her rent in Marina Court to come up with her $1,000 for her down payment. So now she has a bad credit rating because she didn't know how she was going to get the 1,000, so she didn't pay her rent. And so we had another young lady who's been living in a trailer park in your district, Steve, for the last 5 or 6 years and living in her car. I mean, those are the things that are happening. And Wes was there. Everybody was there. And so those are real life stories. And so for me, I know that she's probably not going to invest in stocks and bonds. The only investment she will ever have that will appreciate is her house, is her home. And so that's the end of that spiel. And so I've been very supportive, and I think that, Sam and I have a great relationship. Habitat has a great relationship. I mean, we're going to work together. I mean, we get some of it right, we get some of it wrong. I mean, I walked in and I was yelling at Claire and Sam. I mean, the county got to do more about, landscaping. We're giving a person a new house, but I got a roach on the floor. I mean, there are things that we can improve, and I think this is revolving. And affordable housing has been an issue in Escambia County since the 90s. And it's going to continue, and we're not going to solve it all, but I think we can make a dent at it, and I agree with you, Steve. We can continue to make a dent, but I certainly think that if we really are sincere and dedicated to doing it, when you take a young child who comes from Marina Court or Morris Court or Addis Court, and they get to move into a neighborhood where they got a Mike Kohler, or they got Commissioner Holberger, Strover, or Commissioner Berry as their neighbor, the trajectory of their life changes, because they see somebody that they can model, and they're just not concentrated into one low-income area. So,
Sam, I appreciate it. This would be great, and we were going to be very supportive in helping.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner May. Commissioner Strober?
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of glanced over those numbers really quickly, but at the bottom of that, remember, 10 years later, we're talking about the house selling possibly it appraises for $400,000. And when it sells back, it's only about $7,000 more, less than $7,000 after 10 years.
That's right.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
That is.
And Commissioner May, I think the one thing that I think we agree on, but I think it's a point that's important to make, and that is, I hear you talk about gentrification all the time, and that
not all the time, but some of the time.
So the land trust addresses gentrification. We're going to allow opportunities for folks who grew up in these neighborhoods who are getting priced out of the neighborhoods. These land trust homes are always going to be affordable to the folks who grew up in these neighborhoods. And I think that's really important. And you see what's happening in some of these neighborhoods. While wealth is being created for that first-time home buyer, their children can't afford to live there.
Exactly.
And the land trust model provides that opportunity for the folks who grew up in that neighborhood, who make up the fabric of that neighborhood, to remain in that neighborhood.
Yeah, and Sam, I agree, and I want to compliment you and Claire. I was there with Councilman Wiggins on yesterday on 2 of the houses that you did there on B Street. The young lady that just had the young daughter, and across the street there were 2 houses since we put those houses in, because this has been a long process. And the council person said, I checked in those 2 houses, they're $600,000. But we're getting this lady financed for $150,000. I mean, because the private side's going to follow the public side. I mean, we take the risk, we go into these blighted neighborhoods, we weed it, we seed it,
Yep.
and they follow us. And so I think that is just a great model that you're doing, because then we force everything to go up. I mean, and there are going to be more challenges, in sitting with Claire and her staff. I mean, obviously we get the mortgage, the P&I at a certain rate, but then the appreciation of the value, the ad valorem goes up. I mean, because the school districts increasing their ad valorem taxes, and the insurance goes up, so there's still a burden on the people, and so there's always going to be things that we have to figure out to make sure people can have sustainability in their homes.
Yeah.
Sam, Commissioner May has a good point. I just was thinking about that. Just last week, I think some of you probably saw a study. There's 1,000 less black voters in the city now.
1,500?
So, I mean, the gentrification thing's real. It's happening. Just for the record, District 2 takes everybody. But,
Hey, District 3, baby, we welcome all, red, yellow, black, and
But
white.
no, it's a real concern what you're saying, Commissioner May. I mean, I get it. And I think, we need to look at that and try to make that right. I don't know what right is going to be perfectly, but, you can't, I do think diversity in some aspects is okay. You know, I think it helps us get along better. And Sam, I know, the other thing I wanted to mention, I know this probably affects Steve, you and me, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble making this comment, but, you know, I started out like him. I lived in Lumen's district in one room for $100 when I first came here. It was a dump off Seabrook. And, you know, the junior enlisted folks, as you know, up to E1, D5, they're either living in the barracks or trying to get affordable housing. But when you get to that E6 and above, they're making that money where they can afford a house. And what I find is kind of, you know, the local, I didn't think about this when I was in the Navy, but now I think about it a lot because we represent all the people in the county that are citizens of the county that don't get that BAH increase every year. So the disparity for the locals becomes greater and greater and greater. And I don't even know how to solve that problem. Have you thought about that, Sam?
Well, you know, I think if you think back to that chart that I showed you with, you know, wages, while they're increasing, they're not keeping up. So, you know, and again, when I talk about whole of community, this is a whole of economy question. So, you know, what's happening with economic development, what's happening with attracting different and more diverse employers into the community, all of those are going to help support solving that problem. But it's not, you know, one organization, it's not one sector, and it's not one government entity that is going to solve this. It needs to be a collective effort that everybody is focused on the same thing, and that is providing opportunities for folks who are being left behind to continue to grow economically. And as we do that, then that gap will start to shrink, and homes are going to become more affordable, and lives are going to improve.
Well, I appreciate you coming. Does anyone else have any further comments?
No.
Wonderful brief, Sam. I love working with you. You're doing great work for both the area, not just Escambia County, but the area. Steve, thanks for bringing this to.
Sam, thank you, and Mr. Chairman, and I think Sam would concur. I mean, I think, you know, our commitment on those 14 houses is about $1.4 million, and so we are dedicated because I know community centers don't work. Nothing works if children and people don't have a clean and safe place to lay their head. And you're absolutely right, Mr. Chairman. The demographics has changed. I mean, things happen. I mean, you know, across, I mean, when I say, you know, gentrification or dislocation or recharacterization of a neighborhood, it's not a figment of my imagination. The data is just what the data is. I mean, it is. If you don't believe it, I mean, just walk down Government, you know, go walk to the Wahoos, walk down the Villers. I mean, walk on the Alphabet Street. It is what it is. But we do have a responsibility to represent all citizens and to give them the opportunity. You know, and so we want a diverse a community and a diverse housing stock. So for me, I don't care if we got a $150,000 house across the street from a $600,000 house. Those people become friends and family. You know, they all share the Kool-Aid together. You know what I mean? Because they just all love. And so we should want to mix our neighborhoods. And Steve, Sam, I appreciate you coming. And
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to present, and I very much appreciate your continued support. And together, I believe we're going to make a real difference.
We'll do it.
Thank you.
Look forward to housing.
Thanks, Sam.
Clarendon better get their resumes together, though.
All right, that concludes today's CAL and the CAL meeting. I think we have a shade at 3:30. Is that right, Elsie?
3:30 shade meeting. You need to convene in here first.
Okay, we'll see everyone at 3:30. This concludes today's CAL.